Sweet Girl is a new Netflix movie. This is an American action, political, conspiracy thriller set in, I believe, Philadelphia. Allentown, Pennsylvania. And, you okay, Will?
You know, I mean, it's, like you said, an American film because it is filmed in the heart of America, in my view.
I said Philadelphia.
Which is, sure, nothing against Philadelphia. I've been there a few times. I think I've also been to Allentown a couple times. But,
I've been to Allentown.
this is... Okay.
Pottsville,
Do you want to talk
Pennsylvania.
about,
Sorry.
Sure. Do you want to talk about Allentown a little bit more? You have more to say about Allentown?
Probably more to say about that than this movie, but sorry.
Sure.
No, sorry. Where does the movie take place? Will, Ashton.
It takes place in my neck of the woods, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh, no, you don't say while you're, live messaging me while watching this movie, all the different Pittsburgh locations that you're seeing.
Yes.
Which I appreciate.
I think it was also... Sure. It's not as much of a Pittsburgh film as, say, American Pickle, which came out last year, and it was like maybe the most Pittsburgh, New York film I've ever seen.
Even more than Perks of Being a Wallflower?
Well, that's like Pittsburgh. Like, that's actually more suburban Pittsburgh. So that's actually, that's like really my neck of the woods. But I remember American Pickle, like several times I'd go to work and I just like would have to skirt around like the film crew because they were just like, they were constantly filming around me. I didn't have the same experience with Sweet Girl, though I know other people were like roads were blocked off because they're filming this movie, or there's like a big action scene that you might remember midway through that they had to desert the streets for, and that, traffic in Pittsburgh is already a pain in the ass, and when you're filming a big movie and blocking off like 3 or 4 of the major streets, that's not a good way to win over people. I'll just say that.
Sure. And we should say this movie finished production right before COVID, like I think a few weeks before lockdown. So that's the only reason this movie is that kind of finished when it did, I guess.
I think they might have, I don't know, I don't know this for sure, but I'm wondering, they might have had to do like some reshoots during the pandemic. I don't know if that was the case or not, but I think that might be the reason why. I wouldn't
be surprised. I mean, reshoots are pretty common, so yeah. But I'm sure they did all the big crowd scenes, like all the stuff that really requires, a
right. Yeah, no, that was 2019.
World. Yeah, that probably would have been 2019 when they did it.
Yeah, no, I know for sure it was because I remember when they were filming it.
Yeah. You were there. I looked for you in the crowd and I didn't see you.
No, unfortunately, this is not the case. This is not an American Pickle situation where I was there and it got cut out. I never did any extra work for this movie. Not that I didn't want to, I just didn't have the opportunity. But
or Where'd You Go, Bernadette? The other, it says take place in Pittsburgh, but
right. Yes. One day they'll release the Will Ashton cuts of both films, I hope. But that day has not yet come.
That's right. And listeners, if you're like, well, I want to see a Will Ashton cut of something, well, you still have Mindhunter episode 9 or whatever it is, and you still have Perks of Being a Wallflower. There's a couple scenes. Yes. There's a couple scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sweet Girl stars Jason Momoa and Isabella Merced, excuse me. They started this movie. I mentioned it. It was it's like a political kind of thriller. It's like a pharmaceutical CEO, kind of bribery stuff. Super well timed for this movie to come out when science and the medical, world is under a bit of scrutiny by people who are, So this movie was directed by Brian Andrew Mendoza. This is his first film. I don't know if he's worked on anything else or what his background is. I think this is the first I've ever heard of him.
He is apparently Jason Momoa's friend.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. I wish I was Jason Momoa's friend. I would.
Yeah, he seems like a fun time.
You know what I would do? I wouldn't make a movie with him. I don't want to make a movie. I would co-write a novel with the guy. I bet that would be fun.
All right. Now I would just party with him because you'd probably get to hang out with Is he married to Lisa Bonet?
But see, if you write a novel with him, then you get to do the rap party. You get a party still out of it, but you also get a novel. So, and he's with Lisa.
Why not just make a movie? Why not just write a screenplay together and then make the movie?
I'm too intimidated. Novels are more fun.
Sure.
Writing screenplays, to me, it's like looking at math formulas. It's just not for me. But yeah. But that said, it stars him. It also stars Isabella Merced, who we've seen in so many things. We've seen her in, like that Dora the Explorer movie. We saw her in The Instant Family, which I always like to mention. That movie is weirdly, surprisingly good. with her and Mark Wahlberg. And I like it. You just, let it happen. It's going to stand the test of time. Okay. You wait and see. It has Margot Martindale in it. How could you? What else you want?
Well, I have nothing against her. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, and Rose Byrne.
I thought it was fine. Yeah, I know a lot of people like that film, and whatever helps you, whoever helps people get through the day.
Sure. She's been in some other stuff. She was in that Let It Snow movie, I think. She did a voice in Spirit Untamed, and she was in what was that other movie? Oh, Sicario, Day of the Soldado. So
Oh yeah.
Few hits, few misses.
Yeah, that role was pretty intense for her. I remember that.
For sure. It definitely was an experience, I'm sure, for her as a young actor. And in this movie, I would say also pretty intense. She's kind of in this action movie with Jason Momoa. She gets her own share of action too. I didn't recognize too many other people in the cast here. There are a few. There's some few. There's a hitman played by Manuel Garcia-Rulfo. We had Raza Jaffrey, Justin Bartha from.
Yes.
I always remember him.
The other guy from The
National
Hangover.
Treasure and Hangover.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Those are the two movies I think of. Yeah, he's Doug in The Hangover, which I guess I don't know which movie do you think is bigger, Hangover or National Treasure? Hard to say, huh? Both big films.
I mean, I think Hangover was a bigger film at the moment, but it's become sort of like a flash in the pan sort of thing. Like I don't think nowadays it's like as well regarded as it was in like 2008. But National Treasure, the legacy lives on, and people are still demanding.
That's just the name of the third movie, probably. Sure. National Treasure, the legacy lives on. That's the name of the third one that'll come out someday, I bet.
Maybe.
Yeah, so he's in this movie. He doesn't have a big role in this, but he's part of the film. And the setup here is that there's this pharmaceutical company. They have this, I guess it's kind of built as like a miracle treatment for people with cancer. Our main character, his name is Ray. He and his daughters, his wife and his daughter's mother, she has had cancer and is trying to get on a trial for this treatment that could save her life. But then something happens and it gets revoked for some reason, and has something to do with the greediness of this pharmaceutical tech thing. It's literally called Bioprime, which, of course. And all that to say, these characters have a bit of a grudge against what happened. They get caught up in this conspiracy involving bribery and hitmen and political intrigue. None of it is interesting. This movie's a real slog. If it hadn't been on Netflix, I don't think I would have seen it. I think that I would have kind of stayed pretty far away from it based on any of the marketing. I haven't seen the trailer, but just in general, it didn't really look like it was going to be my thing. And this movie, I think the only thing I'm seeing people talk about with this movie is that its twist is so bonkers. And I was going to ask you about that. It genuinely elicited laughs from me. It really did.
Me too.
It almost makes the experience worth it, because now we can actually talk about a movie like this that does this. I'm sure this will be referenced many times in Cinemaholics episodes future, where we're like, okay, but it's not like the twist in Sweet Girl. Remember that? So, yeah, what did you think of this movie?
I mean, like I said last week, I knew someone who worked on the film. I didn't see any marketing materials for it or anything. I honestly forgot it was coming out until a few days ago. But I had heard stories, and I won't divulge those stories, but the impression I was given by the person who I knew worked in the film, who did second unit, was that it was going to be quite bad, because he had read some of the script and he had read the twist, and he didn't tell me what the twist was, but he's just like, man, it's this is just basically a vanity project for Jason Momoa. It's just kind of something that kind of boosts up his ego after Aquaman. And I think that helped true. I think, you never know with a film as far as production. Maybe it gets saved in the edit. Maybe they figure it out as they continue filming. But with a film like Sweet Girl, I just think it was kind of dead in the water from the get-go, unfortunately. Because on paper, I mean, this seems like my bag. It's a Pittsburgh shot, 90s-esque action thriller about a guy going after the big farm, basically, and the corrupt medical system that we have in this country. And I'm like, on paper, if you tell me that, I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah, let's
give that to me now. Yeah. let's do this. Jason Momoa, I think in the right role, I think he can be a very fun, sort of disarming screen presence. There's something, like you can't really like put your finger on what his star presence is. And I don't know if it's fully formed yet, but I think there's something unmistakable about him that, it's not like an Arnold thing where he's like otherworldly, but like there is something, he has like a unique screen presence. And I do think that like in action scene, he does kind of have like the rough and tumble to stand out. And there are a few action scenes in this that I think have kind of like, they're not quite gritty, but you can tell that like people got banged up and bruised and like, people are, hitting each other on metal poles and smashing through wooden banisters and stuff like that. And those scenes struck me as, as a Netflix watch.
For me, they're kind of amusing. Those are okay. I can check my phone now scenes because I'm
really? Those are moments where
I don't care. I know what's going to happen at the end of the fight and nothing happening in the fight.
Sure.
I don't feel anything. So I'm like, I can just check my phone. I'll see who wins the fight in the end. Okay.
See, I'm the opposite where I'm kind of interested in that because, like, oh, stuff's happening. The rest of the film, there's no sense of style or pacing in this thing. Like I said, it is just kind of like slogging its way through one predictable action beat to the next in a screenplay that is woefully generic, like almost comically generic in terms of how it's plotted and staged.
You could call it generic crime. I mean.
Yeah. But, like, when I was watching this, like, I think back to, like, Netflix, I mean, obviously they make a lot of great films here and there, and they have some prestige films, but I feel like 3 out of 4 times they make movies that you fold laundry to, like stuff you can hear in the background and like you can follow because they just explicitly tell you everything you're supposed to know and feel about the characters, and they have no real sense of visual language because everything's just supposed to be telegraphed as people are like absentmindedly watching it while doing other things. And I kept thinking about that watching this film because, like you said, like midway through, like I try to be as professional as possible when I watch these films, but I just can't give a heck after a point. Like the movie has, you can tell like no one involved really seems to care or like really invest in the story or the dramatic arts of it, and it's just like it's impossible not to like want to like just check your phone midway through because the pacing at times feels like you're pulling teeth. But I do think the action beats are kind of amusing, at least for me, like seeing the different points in Pittsburgh. The fact that there is a giant action scene about 1/4 the way through the film on the T is something as a Pittsburgher that I find very amusing because either the most accurate, inaccurate thing about this film, and do you mind if I do light spoilers, John, or are you going to be upset?
Let's do a light spoilers warning for Sweet Girl. Starting now. Skip ahead, use the show notes, the chapter skip to get to the next review.
Okay, this is easily my favorite scene in the whole film. Because, like, we have this scene where it's like, hey, I'm from Fox. I need to tell you something. Okay, what do you need? No, we can't talk about it over the phone. Meet me in the trolley stop. And then, obviously, Jason Momoa goes to the trolley stop. Has beautiful, perfect cell phone reception underground the trolley, which is impossible. I dare anyone to try to call someone in the T in the middle of the thing. He meets up with the Fox guy. He's like, hey, what's up? He's just like, oh, hey, that thing was just like, gets stabbed immediately. Everyone gets out of the trolley, of course, because some guy just got stabbed. They're fighting, obviously, banging each other's heads. The T driver could not give less of a heck. Just keeps driving. He's like, next up, Station Square. And I don't know if that's the most accurate, inaccurate thing about the movie, that the T driver just keeps going through all the destinations. People are flying out of the window, and it's just like, all right, next up.
See, well, it's so funny you say that because Shang-Chi comes out next week, and it does the same thing, but then it does have an explanation for why the bus driver has no idea what's happening, and it's really hilarious. It's going to be hilarious for you, I think, in particular, to see like what they tried to do to explain that. So I'll warn you there. Yeah,
I think it's funnier that they just don't explain this film. They just don't care. It's just like that's like I said. It's either the most accurate, inaccurate thing about the movie. It's just that he's just like, yeah, they don't pay me enough to care. I'm just going to keep going. Some, like the lady's just like, a guy just died. It's like, not my problem. Yeah.
I love that they got Nelson Franklin for that role. And yeah, to what you're saying, like that sums up the movie so well. It's like 10 minutes or something of like, now you have to go here. Now you have to go there. Like all of this build up and setup. He's like, sorry, it was a precaution. Still just immediately, like it is pretty laughable. I didn't forget to mention, well, I don't know if I told you, but I know somebody who worked on the film too.
Oh?
Yeah, Jason Momoa. We're working on a novel together. And you know what he told me when we were we were group texting. And with
sharing cigars and drinking brandy in his
underwater
wooden cabin or whatever. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. we were there. We were in Atlantis, and he was kind of just like, who do you think should play my daughter in a movie? And I gave him a list, and I kind of went through all the picks and everything like that. And he was like, yeah, these are all good picks. I like these picks, but I'm going to have to go with somebody else completely. And I was like, okay, well, you asked me my opinion. Isabella Merced. So there's this sort of like these two characters are related is the idea behind this movie. And I kind of just, I don't know. I'm a little frustrated because I don't see it, but I don't know if that's just me. You know what I mean? Like I just looked at it and I was like, I didn't buy for a second that she, because I know they try to play it up with like the mother is kind of vaguely Hispanic, but Jason Momoa is not Hispanic and he doesn't look Hispanic. And I don't think Isabella Merced looks like a cross between those two characters. And it was just something that kind of threw me off. And it was like a sort of like, we'll wave it away. I think it's fine because they both have vaguely tan skin. Do you hear what I'm saying at all?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't buy that they were, related in blood, but it didn't, this time around it didn't bother me as much. I do think she is better than this material deserves.
I agree with
which
that.
is generally how I feel about.
She's a great
how
actress.
I feel about. Yeah, because I don't know. I think personally her filmography leaves something to be desired. Generally speaking, I mean, the Door movie was fine, but I don't think she's been attached to too many good films. But I think she's generally, if not the best thing, one of the best things about the films. And I don't think this film is an exception at all. I think she's probably the best performance in it because, she actually is giving dramatic urgency to this role, and it doesn't feel like it's just a paycheck for her. It feels like she's, still trying to prove herself as a young and up-and-coming star. But, there's only so much you can do with this script, I think.
I think that is the case. And you know what? She's a young actor. Bright future ahead of her, I think. I think she's only like in her early 20s right now. So I'm not going to be super negative with her performance or anything. Or I guess this is just that kind of movie where it's not one thing. It's just kind of everything put together. There's a part in this movie where literally like one of the like villain characters is like, you have no idea like what you're stepping into. It's like dialogue like that feels like it's straight out of The Office, like something like Michael Scott would say in one of his fake movies. Like it really does have that kind of energy.
You gotta admit though, he had a cool shotgun. Or I guess it was technically the bullets, but it was
all right.
Those moments kind of briefly woke me up. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
But I think probably because of the sound. So
sure, yeah. What?
That's Sweet Girl. It's streaming on Netflix. Pretty popular on Netflix. I think it was in the top 10. Might still be in the top 10. 21%. Number one. Was it number one? I didn't see. I thought Brand New Cherry
number one
Flavor
on
was
Saturday.
Okay.
Maybe it upset it, but when I put it on Saturday, it was number one.
And sometimes, but you know what though, Will? I think sometimes top 10 can be regional. So
you've mentioned this before. I'm just telling you my experience.
I'll tell you mine, and mine is I don't really actually remember. So I'll defer to you.
Would you? It wouldn't be surprising if this was the number one movie in Pittsburgh because it's such a Pittsburgh film, even down to having a huge action set piece in PNC Park, as if this is like sudden death in the Civic Arena. But
Well, I'll be honest. You already know this. You already know this about it. I've never been to Pittsburgh. I don't plan to go to Pittsburgh.
Not yet.
Except for, of course, when I'm there for your child's christening. I am the godfather, after all. So, that, I'll show up in Pittsburgh. But I do request that you do it outside of Pittsburgh, if you can.
Sure. We'll meet up. We'll go to Permanis or something and have Yingling beers and talk the talk, I guess.
Hey, I am in for Yingling. First beer I had when I was 21. Because they do have it outside of Pennsylvania. So, and I am a fan. But yeah, that is Sweet Girl. Now, maybe you want to grab a few Yinglings with your buds, depending on where you live and you're of age, and maybe check it out on Netflix if you're looking for a brief little distraction there.
You'll probably need them to get through it, to be honest.
Yeah, I watched this movie pretty sober, and there you go.
I wish I wasn't sober when I was watching it, I'll be honest.
Thank you so much for listening to our show. Be sure to subscribe to Cinemaholics on your favorite podcast app of choice or find us on YouTube. See you all next time.